All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a good time and enjoying all those sugar buns out there. I'm going to indulge pretty soon myself. So I'm going to talk to you guys about Geo Database Templates. I know we have a lot of Esri users out there. It's one of the most popular formats in FME. And we've added some really great and easy-to-use functionality with FME in 2012 called a template file for the Geo Database. So I'm going to demonstrate that through using something called an FME Workspace template. So I'll get into that in a little bit. So a lot of users over the years have said to us, hey, I'm writing to Geodatabase, but I want to be able to create subtypes, domains. I have an existing data model, for example. I've got aliases in there. I've got relationship classes. I've got networks. I want to be able to load to Geodatabase, and I want FME to recreate my Geodatabase model at the same time that I load the data. Well, now you can do that in FME 2012 by using an Esri XML workspace document or even an existing Geodatabase, for example, a file Geodatabase as a template. So like I said, I'm going to demonstrate this, and I'm going to use an existing FME Workspace template. And an FME Workspace template is essentially a very quick way to get started with an FME Workspace. And in this particular template, we're going to write to an existing Geodatabase model. And that model is based on Esri ArcGIS for local government. So just a quick word on Esri ArcGIS for local government. Their resource center on the web contains all kinds of base maps and applications, lots of information pertinent to local government users. Of course, there are other resource centers there for other functional areas such as utilities and things like that. But on this ArcGIS for local government website, what you have is a geodatabase model. So an information model that is very extensive, very comprehensive, contains everything from infrastructure, land records, elections, etc., all housed inside of this geodatabase. So I have that geodatabase, I've downloaded it, and I'm going to be using it as a template file when I write some data using FME. But before I do that, I want to just review again what a workspace template is. So we've had FME Workspace templates around for a little while now. Those of you that are familiar with FMEpedia, you've probably seen these FMWT files now when you download samples from FMEpedia. They are quick ways, like I said, of getting started. So you basically double-click on an FMWT file. What you get is the FME Workspace. And you also get the data unzipped to your document settings local users directory. So you can go ahead and run that workspace as is. But typically what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at what's going on in that workspace. And you're probably going to want to run it with your own data. So that's what we're going to do. This screenshot here is writing to a well-defined data model. So this is exactly the template I'm going to show you guys right now. So let's open that up. So that second point there, that geodatabase template is what I'm going to open up now. And then we'll go back to this slide. So like I said, all you need to do is find or download an FMWT file, double click on it. FME Workbench is going to start up, and it's going to load that template. Notice right off the bat at the top it says untitled. So it's put this somewhere in your documents and settings directory. What you're going to want to do right away is just save that as an actual FMW file or workspace. So I'll just save it here to the default location. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit and notice we're reading in a couple of different data sets. So what do I have here? I have some Microsoft Excel data coming in, and I've also got some shape data as well. So I'm just going to go back to my slides here, and we'll take a look at the structure of that data. So our source data is part of our data loading components. Election voting results in an Excel spreadsheet, and some voting precinct polygons in shape format. So if we take a look at the spreadsheet in the background there, notice that there's all kinds of information here for DuPage County. That's the data we're going to load. So just various election results for the various townships there. We're going to join that data to our shape data here. So that's an example of the DuPage County shape file. We'll use a combination. We'll concatenate a few fields together in the workspace to join the Excel data to the shape file. All right, and then of course we have our Geodatabase template. We're going to write to a geodatabase, so going back to that workspace. Our writer is a file geodatabase writer. If I expand that node, notice that there is a new parameter in FME 2012. It's called template file. I could use the .gdb file that I downloaded from that Esri Resource Center, or the beauty of being able to use a template file now in FME is I could go to ArcGIS, for example, right-click on there and export an XML workspace document. And in that dialog, I think it's the second screen in that dialog, you can pick and choose the elements of the schema that you want. So like I said, some of these data models can be very comprehensive. You might only want a portion of it. So instead of using that entire GDB as a template in FME, export the XML workspace document and then reference that as the template file parameter here. Okay, so before we take a look at the results here, we'll just go into the workspace here and see what's happening. So our Excel source feature type here very smartly has a merge feature type set up on it. And if you don't know what a merge filter is, it allows basically any feature type or layer to be read or to be processed by this workspace. So this is on the Excel reader specifically. So if you read other Excel spreadsheets or worksheets, they will be handled by this particular feature type. So it's set up to be very flexible. This second portion here is basically just some schema mapping here. We've got some attribute renaming going on because we want to map to a very specific data model. So the attribute renamer comes in very handy for something like that. The attribute value mapper, of course, is another common schema mapping transformer you can use. Next section here is just creating a join key. So like I said, we're joining the Excel data to the shapefile. So we're going to concatenate a few strings together to create a join key there. And down in the bottom pipeline here, we're doing something very similar with the shapefile. We've got a merge set up on there. Here, we're doing some schema mapping, and we're creating that join key here as well. We're finally merging it all together with a feature merger transformer and simply filtering by feature type to the various feature classes within that data model. Okay, so if I had this template file, I've downloaded it, I've saved it now to an FMW file. The next thing I'm going to do is change up the source data sets I want to run my own data through. So this was set up using the Will County Recorder of Deeds. I'm going to go and find my other data set now, the DuPage County Recorder of Deeds. Throw that in there. Let's find the shapefile as well for DuPage County. And then the next thing I'm going to do is find my Geodatabase template file. And just find that here. Now, I actually didn't pick and choose different elements of the schema. I did export the entire workspace document, so we'll just go ahead and use that. And then I would simply run this workspace. Of course, I want to write to a particular geodatabase as well, or create a new geodatabase in this case. We can just dump that out to ctemp and call it election results. And then when I run this workspace, what it's going to do is process that data. It's just actually going to an inspector application. So let's just take a look at what's coming out of there. I forgot the redirect to inspector was turned on by default. And let's take a look. Here we've got the DuPage County Recorder of Deeds here. So I'm just going to show you guys that the data was joined from the Excel spreadsheet. So we're seeing information from the Excel spreadsheet now in our shapefile. And I'll just go into our catalog. I had run this earlier, so I'll show you guys what the output looks like in our catalog. There's our election results. So FME would have recreated the entire structure here. And in our election results here, we've got the DuPage County Recorder of Deeds. And if we preview that and select one of the shape polygons here, we'll see information from the Excel spreadsheet. So the key thing to keep in mind when you're using a Geodatabase template file is that you do need to make sure that the names on your feature types here match up with what's in your Geodatabase template file. If they don't, you'll simply get new feature types inside of your model. So import feature types is a good thing to use to make sure that that all matches up. So there you go, Geodatabase template files, new for FME 2012. Just go back to the slides here. So again, we use the FME template to get started with a workspace very quickly. The one other thing I'll mention here that I didn't actually, if you go back to that workspace, when I brought in that new data, the DuPage County data, the schema was very much the same as what that template file was set up with, so I didn't actually have to go in and mess with my attribute renamer to make sure my attributes were mapping properly. More typically, you might have a different schema coming in, so you do have to make sure you visit some of these schema mappers, or these attribute renamers and transformers in here to make sure you've got the correct schema mapping going on. So just one note. I had a very simple example there with a similar schema with my new data. So anyways, we added some source data sets. We did some schema mapping. And then we had a nice result. So I think on that Esri government, local government site, there's some pre-canned MXDs as well. So you could very quickly, once you write out your data with FME, you could very quickly open up one of the MXDs and visualize your results like this. So there you go. We've seen how to use an FME Workspace template to create an FME Workspace. And I've shown you guys the new parameter on our Geodatabase writer called template file, which allows you to very quickly recreate a complex geodatabase when you load data to FME. Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. And I'll hand it back to Stuart now.